We are back with our Bon and Vives.
Yes, we are.
And while we wait for the delivery, we're going to tell you some ghost stories.
But welcome back.
Oh yeah, welcome back to this
Sinister Sisters podcast. You guys try that again? I don't know.
No, I'm Felicia.
I'm Lauren.
We're best friends.
And we talk about scary movies.
And today I'm actually really excited because I got to do homework like I was an AP Euro in high school. That's like what I felt like I was doing.
This is her hard research.
This is my hard research.
Coming in with the facts.
Also, Lauren got me this notebook for my birthday. It says Handbook for the Recently Deceased. And it's adorable.
Thank you.
And I took my notes with a pencil. Just like high school. I didn't even know
Mechanical?
I owned a pencil. Yes, a mechanical pencil.
Wow, she went
Yeah. But anyways, today we're doing something that we haven't done before, but I feel really excited about.
Me too.
Which is telling the true, or whatever, the true paranormal stories behind some of our favorite horror movies.
Yes.
I'm stoked on this idea.
Do you want to go first? She seems so hyped.
I'm hyped as hell right now, so I'll go first. I worked on The Conjuring this week.
It's like she's doing a book report. I know.
And this was fun for me because when The Conjuring came out, I remember seeing that movie and just being like, this is one of the greatest horror movies I've ever seen. Like, I loved it.
So good.
It scared me so much.
So scary.
It was also, like, so beautiful. I don't know. I loved everything about it. And I hadn't spent a lot of time, like, going into the research. But The Conjuring obviously did introduce me to Ed and Lorraine Warren. And they've been involved in a lot of paranormal investigations in the East Coast.
Including mine, too.
Including Lauren's, too. So I'm going to barely talk about them, but I'll just mention a little bit. So Ed is actually, he's the former police officer and a self-proclaimed demonologist. And then Lorraine Warren is a clairvoyant and a medium. So they would work together. They founded the New England Society for Psychic Research. And they basically became these sort of superstar paranormal investigators, the go-to people. They gave a bunch of lectures.
Yeah.
And that's how the Perrin family, which is who I'm going to be talking about, actually found them because they were experiencing all these scary, scary things in their house. And so they went to one of their lectures and then begged for help, which we do actually see that in the movie, which is cool. Mm-hmm. From what I can tell, so Ed Warren died in 2006, but Lorraine Warren, who's also now dead, but she was enthusiastic about this movie. She helped. She gave, advice and interviews so they could make it more accurate and all these things. The Perrin family was, not that they weren't supportive, but they didn't want to be involved in the movie. The oldest sister...
Did they get any money, I wonder?
I don't really think they did.
That sucks.
Yeah. But I think after they moved out of that house, they actually tried to pretty much put it behind them, except for Andrea Perrin, who's the oldest sister, who ended up writing, I think, multiple books about their experiences there. But the main one was called The House of Light, The House of Dark, I'm pretty sure. Toby's head is in the couch, and we're not sure... Toby?
Hey, baby.
What's she doing?
Literally,
his front half is inside the cushions.
It's so
and
alarming.
His butt half is not. He does that sometimes. I don't know what he's looking for.
You're scared.
Are you just looking for crumbs? Well, apparently he found something because he's licking his lips.
You looking for a ghost? He is a ghost.
Yeah, he is.
I'm gonna block it.
So sweet. Okay, I'm sorry. What are we saying? Okay. So, that's a little bit of things. I'm not going to talk too much about The Conjuring because I'm going to go into this story. So, I'm excited.
She's ready.
I'm ready. 1971.
Wow.
In January.
I was just about to say, I wonder what our timeline is.
Yeah, what is yours? What year is yours?
It's interesting that you asked that.
Is it the 60s?
74.
After?
Well, it starts in 74, so it's really after.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's way later.
Okay, so the Perrin family moved into this 14-room farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. Huge. And it was Carolyn and Roger and their 5 daughters. Andrea.
I will say...
Oh, go ahead.
I want someone to write a horror movie that's about someone who lives in a closet apartment.
Oh, yeah. Not even a one-bedroom, a studio apartment.
Yeah. Maybe I'll film it.
Yeah, we'll just make it.
Okay, great.
We'll just make it. Okay, so you have Carolyn and Roger, the parents, and then you have the 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, April, and Cynthia. Which, how do you keep that many daughters straight? I don't know.
I don't know. I was going to say,
no
wonder
daughters.
they were like ghosts.
Yeah. But they moved onto this farmhouse, and it was on a 200-acre property. Apparently, they got a very good deal on this farmhouse, which I think is pretty normal in the haunted house community.
I know. Do we... Okay, you'll tell me.
Okay, I'll tell you. Don't worry. This is just like My Favorite Murder, where one of them starts asking questions, and they're just like, I didn't get there yet.
I know. It's later in the notes.
Okay. So they ended up living there for 10 years. I'll go ahead and say that right now. And they do say that's because of financial restraints. They couldn't really move somewhere else because they had gotten such a good deal on this property. And when they moved in, basically this is called the Arnold Estate. And 8 generations of the Arnold family lived there before. And apparently a lot of really bad things happened there. Let me tell you what they are.
There we go.
Mrs. John Arnold... I hate that. Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
Mrs. John Arnold. Okay.
I will never do that.
Nah, I can't do that. Okay. When she was 93 years old, that's quite old for this, hung herself in the barn. This was the site of several suicides, the rape and murder of an 11-year-old child, 2 drownings, and 4 men who froze to death near one of the... So 200 acres is very big, I might as well say that. Some of these things didn't necessarily happen in the house, but it happened all over the property. And some things did happen in the house. Okay. So they moved in, and apparently on the first day that they moved in, when they were literally taking boxes in, one of the daughters saw, like, a man dressed weirdly standing in, like, one of the rooms.
Yep, you gotta get out.
You gotta get out. And she walked outside, and she was like, who's that guy? And they were like, what? There's no one here. And she was like, oh, I don't know, that was weird. Okay, red flag. So they saw things literally immediately. And before I get into... sort of the main chunk of this, the family basically says that there are good ghosts and there were bad ghosts there. And over the 10 years, they actually got, like, kind of used to the ghost in this strange way. I like this one. Some of the good ghosts. One smelled of flowers, and another one would kiss the girls goodnight every night.
Wow.
Which is like, or not every night, but enough. Sometimes.
When they felt down.
When they felt sad. There was a little boy who would move toys around and play. There was what I called the sweeping ghost, where they would leave a broom in the kitchen, and when they would come back sometimes, there would be a neat pile of dirt on the floor, and the broom would be somewhere else.
Wow.
And no one knew who did it. So it was like these people that just sort of had lived there, died, and just continued their tasks.
What a sad ghost life, though.
I know, just sleeping all the time.
Like, just waiting for the opportunity that someone puts a broom somewhere that you can sweep.
But it's sort of this nice thing of, like, people taking care of the house that they died in. Maybe.
Except for some of these evil ghosts.
Oh yeah, we'll get to the evil ghosts. Their favorite was apparently this man they nicknamed Manny. And they later found out that it was the ghost of Johnny Arnold, who had committed suicide there in the 1700s. And he would watch the children play, just kind of happy, just like kind of a happy guy. But they said if you made eye contact with him, he would be gone.
Wow.
And so they would just have him in the room, and you just, like, continue your business.
That's crazy.
But they liked him. They really liked Manny. And there was sort of the general ghostly things. Objects would move, fly across the room. Pictures would fall off the walls. Beds would levitate. I just love that.
Wait, beds would levitate, or people levitating on the bed?
Lauren, that's not
I'm
in
sorry.
the notes.
I'm sorry.
Not in the notes, I don't know.
Well, both.
Toby, get your head out of the cushions.
He's got his head in my crack.
Head of the crack. Oh, no. I love you. Okay, I'm sorry. And then there was some bad ghosts. So this, and we see a lot of this in the movie, where they will yank the girls' legs while they're sleeping. They'll pull their hair.
That leg yank is really scary.
It's really good. That's a really good scare in that. They would slam doors, and sometimes after a door would slam, they couldn't get it open, like it was being held shut.
That's scary too.
That's really scary. They would hear children crying at night, calling for mama, mama, mama. Very scary. And there was a ghost that kept telling, I think the youngest daughter, Cindy, that there are seven dead soldiers buried in this wall in your room.
That's not great.
And they told her that all the time. And she would come in and say, there's 7 dead soldiers in this wall.
Don't you think at some point she'd be like, I get it.
I get it. I get
know.
it. Ghost, I get it.
I see them.
Yeah. And so the main ghost that the Conjuring movie focuses on that ends up possessing Carolyn is what they assume, and this is from Ed and Lorraine Warren when they came to help at the house, is the ghost of Bathsheba Sherman. A witch. So let me do a little bit of history on Bathsheba, which I'm sure I'm saying wrong somehow.
Sounds good.
Thank you. So she lived here in 1812. She married Judson Sherman, and they were like a pretty okay family. He was a farmer. She was a housewife. They had enough money. They had a son named Herman. It's not a great name. Not a great name. No offense to any Hermans out there. Okay.
No, I mean offense.
Lord means offense. They did have 3 other children who did not survive past the age of 7. Their names were Julia, Edward, and George. But 3? I will say that's actually not that uncommon. In the 1800s,
3 out of 4?
I know 3 out of 4 is bad, but honestly, like kids died really easily back then.
That's true. I actually have the Hamilton family. There were a lot.
Lots in there. She was just sort of like a normal lady until she was caring for this infant that was not her child, and the child mysteriously died while in her care.
Why was she taking care of a child?
Just like babysitting. I don't know.
She loved babysitting.
I don't know. But the cause of death was that a large sewing needle was impaled at the base of the child's skull. That's what my face said when I read this on the internet.
That is effed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad. So she actually went to court for this, which is like pretty crazy.
Wow.
So I think there are like trial records of this. But her name was clear. They said I don't know why. They said that she wasn't the one that did it. It was somehow some sort of accident or something, and she was.
Whoops! I slipped and just inserted a needle into.
Unclear.
But she sacrificed the baby to the devil.
That's what people in the town thought. So people thought she sacrificed the baby to the devil. She was therefore known as a witch, and the local folklore around her started to swarm. Okay. And so, but there is no, like, real, like, evidence that she was a practicing witch or a Satanist or anything like that. Just that one thing. Okay. Toby, I'm going to take his collar off because I know he's just been jingling away in this.
Jingle jangle.
Jingle jangle. So the reason the Warrens were eventually called to this house was that, before I say that, she died in 1885. Okay. And local legend says she turned to stone when she died, which I found hilarious because it reminded me of Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
I was like, is that where they got that from, Hocus Pocus?
Maybe.
Okay, I don't know. Probably not, but maybe.
Maybe Hocus Pocus got it from this.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense the other way.
No. I knew you meant that.
Thank you for clarifying. Thank you for clarifying. So the worst spirit in the house, which they later decided was Bathsheba, targeted Carolyn, the mother, really aggressively and was lusting over Roger. So Roger, the husband. So this ghost was very sweet and sensual to, I forgot to say something really crazy. I'll just tell you now. So something else that is like apparently alluded to in Andrea's book about her experience in this house, but not, it's like alluded to but not super clear, is that there might also have been some like ghost molesting of the children going on.
I was just about to say, was there ghost sex? Ooh.
Yeah. So that's like pretty stressful. And apparently some of the kids may have been molested by ghosts, but they don't like to talk about it. And that's what's interesting about the Perron family is that all this stuff happened and they're all very like honest about it, but they're not open about, like they don't want to talk about it because it was a very traumatic time for all of them, and they're not really interested in, like, they weren't really interested in moving being made about it. They were like, this was a really terrible time for our family, but okay, sure, make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this ghost was targeting Carolyn, the wife, and was let's see, what was she doing? What does that say? The moment they actually ended up calling the Warrens, I'm pretty sure, was when she like felt this pain in her leg, and she turned around and it looked as if someone had like stabbed a sewing needle in her calf, and there was just this hole. There was like a hole in her leg. It's freaking weird. Needle. And apparently the ghost would say to her at night, get out, I'll drive you out with death and gloom.
Wow.
I was like, okay. Okay.
That sounds like a spell.
That sounds like a spell to me. Apparently, they described Bathsheba as having a beehive face. So I'm assuming a face that looks like a beehive, which can't be pretty.
Not a beehive wig.
Not a beehive wig, which would have been more fun.
Beehive face.
Beehive face. And a crooked neck from where she had hung herself. So she was like always sort of like haunting of Hill House if you've seen the crooked neck lady. Okay, and in general daily life, Carolyn was being slapped, punched, and having objects thrown at her in the house. And it was all really targeted at her.
Wow.
Which is a bummer.
I mean, we always talk about that we're very jealous ladies, but this is going too far.
This is too far, even for us.
You're dead.
You're dead.
What are you going to do?
And then I will say also that Carolyn, the mother, did a lot of research about the house, and she's the one that uncovered all this stuff about what had happened on the property and why all these things might be happening. She talked to someone, I have his name, Mr. McKeachum, I think, and they said that Bathsheba apparently she treated her staff very badly. She beat her staff, she starved them, she was like a very bad employer, I will say.
Not good.
Yeah, not good. And... Oh, there was something else about... Oh, yeah. And apparently when the people that owned the house before the parent family were doing like some renovations, and they brought in this contractor, and he came in and started working, and he fled the house without finishing the work because he was terrified.
Wow.
Which should have been a sign. And when they bought the house, even though they got a very good deal on it, apparently the guy that sold it to him said, "Leave the lights on at night." That's all he said.
Wow.
Which I was like, red flag number 206.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so they ended up calling the Warrens because eventually the ghost of Bathsheba seemed to have been possessing Carolyn.
But they didn't have any heads up, right? There was no, like, when the real estate agent was like, it's a great deal, but...
Yeah, no, there was really no heads up. They had to do all this research afterwards. Like, there was some, like, weird things that happened, like seeing the man in the house, the guy saying leave the lights on, but they were like...
Right, it wasn't like, hey, by the way, this is a super haunted house.
They really had to do all that research for themselves.
I wonder who was there before them. Do you find out?
I can't remember.
It's fine.
But I do know who's there now. I can get to that in a minute. But I do have that every other occupant at the house, besides a minister and his family that did live there for a short period of time, all reported supernatural phenomena.
Wow.
So this minister was the only one that was like, nothing happened. Everyone else.
He was so with God.
Yeah, so with God. And that is something that is interesting about the Warrens, is that they talk a lot about, like, their faith and how that protects them, particularly Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
And apparently the parents were not a religious family or whatever, and the Warrens said, like, that's why they can get to you so easily, which is spooky.
Just to say to all the ghosts, I'm very Catholic.
Laura's very Catholic. Okay, so then the Warrens come in, and they decide they're going to do this exorcism. And some of the daughters were there for it. It didn't actually happen in the basement, I don't think. I think it happened, like, upstairs, so a little different than the movie. But Andrea did report that her mother was, like, speaking in these very scary voices that were not of her own voice. And at one point was thrown 20 feet into another room.
Oh my God.
And it was very, very scary.
If you were thrown 20 feet, I'd be out of that house so fast.
God, I know. But at this point, the demon or witch or whatever seems to be inside the mother. Yeah. So it's like, you gotta do something.
Time for an exorcism.
So this is my favorite part of the whole thing, which is after this exorcism, everything got a lot worse. So the Warrens came in, did this exorcism, and then the ghost activity got much, much worse after that, until the time they left.
And people still hired the Warrens.
Yeah, well, and
Just kidding.
No, they did, and so I think that is also part of the reason that they weren't super interested in the movie, helping with the movie and things like that. Is they don't seem to have a lot of love for the Warrens, because they said after they came to their house, all the ghost activity got much worse and scarier.
Wow.
So that is a bummer. Okay. So that is, like, honestly basically the story. They moved out in 1980.
So nothing was ever done to the husband specifically, I guess. It's like much more about the...
Yeah. And nothing negative really happened to the husband. Which, classic.
I know.
Anyways.
But it is interesting that there were so many ghosts. I guess that's sort of in the movie too.
Yeah.
But
and I think this comes up in a lot of ghost stories. And it makes a lot of sense to me. It's like where bad things happen, negative energy just stays.
Yeah.
It's like energy cannot be created or destroyed. So if you have really angry energy, it's like it's kind of stuck there for a while. And this was a really, really old house on a property where a lot of bad things had happened. So it seems to make sense. It actually went up for sale. This house went up for sale like a couple of years ago. It was like 2016.
And Felicia bought it.
And I bought it. Just kidding. The new owners' names are Corey and Jennifer Heinzen, and they are paranormal enthusiasts. And they said that there has been some activity, but nothing as crazy as described by the Perrin family. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Are they religious? I wonder.
I don't know, but they said some stuff has gone on. Like, I don't know.
Some things have happened.
I don't know. I didn't look up their stuff too much.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, so that's basically the story. I hope I hit everything. Let me just look.
Yeah, make sure you didn't leave anything out. There's not a lot about, no, that wasn't in that movie. Just about to say, did Ed Warren sing a lot, but that was Conjuring 2?
Yeah, I don't know how much singing he did, honestly. But one thing I'll say is that The Conjuring really does latch onto the idea that Bathsheba is, like, the monster of the house.
Yeah.
And apparently that, like, is not... They weren't even, like... No one is sure that ghost was Bathsheba Sherman. The Warrens just said, like, that's what we think it is.
But it is interesting that nothing happened to the dad.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
It's like, it feels like it has to be a female ghost? Maybe not.
Yeah, they said the ghost... Yeah.
Maybe she was just more open to it.
Maybe. But that is the story of the Perrin family. And I don't know, it's really crazy. By the way, I do want to say this before we get to Lauren's story. I do believe in ghosts and Lauren does not believe in ghosts.
We should have maybe stated that.
Yeah, so all this stuff I'm just like, yep, I believe you 100%.
And now I will not believe in any of it. How long do you think we should do it to be continued and make this another episode?
How many minutes is this?
I have no way of knowing. So, on the note that I don't believe in ghosts, we're going to do a nice to be continued. We've never done that before.
Yeah. And so Lauren's story, which is going to be about Amityville Horror, is coming at you next week.
So for now, have some sweet, sweet nightmares.
Bye.
Bye.